What are you doing? No, wait.
Oh my God.
I saw us.
Us here?
Yes, I watched us for like 15 minutes. You were gone for like 5 seconds.
Hi and welcome to C Squared. I'm Christopher.
And I'm Carma.
And we're coming to you this time with a preview of the soon-to-be-released film Parallel. This is a science fiction film made in Canada in 2018, and it's going to be coming out in America in early December. Originally, it was going to be a theatrical release, but living as we do in the era of COVID, who knows if that'll happen. But it is supposed to come out in early December of 2020. The title Parallel is well chosen. We start with a group of 4 friends who work together on a sort of a internet company building apps. And our crew consists of Josh, who's a little bit of a slacker, but is a good coder. Devin, who is a little more serious and straightforward and sort of the thoughtful one of the group. Lena, who used to be Noel's girlfriend, and but she's an artist, and so she does like the design work for their app, for the public presentation of it. And Noel, who's sort of the guy with business chops and is also a programmer. And he still kind of has a thing for Lena, but she's not interested. Right. So these 4 all share a business and they share a house. And after some business setbacks, there's a big argument. And during the course of it, one of them throws something through the wall. And they discover a secret stairway in the house that goes up to a very unusual mirror in the attic.
Yeah.
And long story short, they discover that you can step through the mirror and find yourself in alternate universes, where the rules are usually a little bit different. Time moves faster in the other universes.
Stop.
1 minute here equals 3 hours there.
Each time you go through, it's like it resets the timeline.
Like a second here is 3 hours there, or
something like that.
6 hours here is 3 days there, something like that. But other than that, things are almost identical, not exactly identical.
Right.
They discover that, for example, one of them gets the idea to get the winning lottery number in the other universe and come back to our universe and see if you can win the lottery. Well, they can't, because the numbers are just a little bit different.
Yeah.
So not everything is exactly the same.
And I think they come to the conclusion that analytical things stay pretty much the same, but creative things
there
have
are
a greater...
There are not huge differences in the other worlds they go to. They discover that the history is the same. Street names are the same. Almost everything's the same. There are duplicates of themselves in the other universes they go to. But yes, as Carma says, they do eventually figure out that creative things like art and
innovation,
movies and technical innovation are often very different in the other universes. And that gives all of them, but especially Noel, the idea that they can go into the alternate universes and sort of steal ideas and
tech
and eventually technology, but at first it's just ideas, and come back in our universe and sort of patent the technology that they discovered in other universes. Lena fulfills her lifelong dream of being an artist, where she gets ideas for best-selling artwork from other universes and comes back here and duplicates it and gets what do you call them?
A gallery show.
Gallery shows.
We just steal other people's ideas.
And this is where you start to see the personalities of our cast diverge. Lena is almost entirely focused on building her art career, because this is what she's always dreamed of.
Yeah.
Josh really just wants to make some money and have some fun.
Yeah. His big dream, ever since he's a little kid, is to literally blow up $1 million. So they literally get a pile of paper money in an alternate universe and throw dynamite on it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the kind of guy he is. He's kind of a goofy guy. Devon is much more thoughtful about this, and eventually we discover this is because there's a tragedy in his past that he wishes he could change, and every time they go into another universe, he looks to see if it's different there.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the moral center of the movie.
Yeah.
Where he is always saying, are we sure we should do this? This might not be a good idea. This is dangerous.
Yeah.
And Noel, then, the business one, in one sense, he's the smartest one of the bunch because he sees the most opportunity.
Yeah.
And uses this.
But he's very selfish.
He's very selfish, and he gets worse as the movie goes on.
In fact, in a way, the film is kind of like the descent of Noel.
Yeah.
I mean, he starts off... You can see he's kind of not an up-and-up guy in the very first scene you see him. But he's, an okay guy.
Right.
And slowly he just kind of gets more and more maniacal to the point where at the end he's like...
Well, do you want to give it away?
So basically he and Lena have this huge falling out, and he says some pretty nasty things. I've got some quotes I want to share that show his journey in little snippets.
But yes, as the movie goes on, it kind of starts out... Well, actually, the first scene is kind of like a thriller.
Yeah.
And then it's science fiction for maybe the first half, and then it turns more and more into a thriller and a mystery and almost a horror movie towards the end.
Yeah.
I don't think we're giving anything away to say that Noel just keeps getting worse and worse, and bad things tend to happen to the rest of them.
Yeah.
So, it was an interesting film.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Well, one thing when it comes to there's a lot of F-bomb dropping, and I'm guessing this is because this is the way millennials speak. I could do without it, but it just seems to be the way it is.
No.
But just kind of give you an idea. As we were watching, we watched it a second time. I started writing down the quotes that stood out to me. And all three of the quotes I wrote down were from Noel.
No.
Now, the first one was something really tragic happens. And they're all like freaking out, trying to figure out how to figure out. And he says, just because it's tragic doesn't mean we stop thinking. And I thought there was something telling about that, because when you're in the height of an emotion, of course you stop thinking for a moment.
Right.
This
a few moments, or...
Yeah, it's like allow the emotion to calm down before you start thinking. So, anyway, there's that.
Yeah, he's kind of cold-blooded.
He is. He's very cold-blooded.
Later, Devon's upset about something, and he says, well, that's what Devon does. I mean, whenever something bad happens, he goes off and sulks, and it's like, well, this was a pretty serious thing that happened. I mean, give him a day to process his emotions. But no, it's right away into the plan.
Another quote from Noel is Lena's saying, hey, did you ruin this guy's life? And his response was, his life was already ruined. He was a software engineer. Because obviously he has no, it's like the people who do the work, they're the little people. I'm the visionary. That's what's important.
Yeah, he's
like a Steve Jobs gone mad.
He's very big into being a visionary.
Yes.
Another time he refers to himself as, I want to be the Thomas Edison of the world.
Yeah, of our time.
Found it in an alt this morning. Storage unit full of stuff that'll set off revolutions. We'll take a world by storm.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, sort of alluding to what's going on with Lena, he says to her, I'm not a guy with an unrequited crush. I get what I want.
Yeah.
And basically, that's how he is throughout the film. Whatever he wants, he gets, and it doesn't matter what the collateral damage and whether that collateral damage is human or not.
Something has happened in our universe to frustrate him. Like somebody insults him. So he goes into an alternate universe, finds that guy's alternate version, goes in, wrecks his house, beats the guy up.
Yeah.
And
threatens him.
And when Devon calls him out on it, he just kind of says, well, he's an alt.
Yeah.
And Devon says, well, he's a human being.
Yeah.
And Noel just kind of says, is he?
Yeah. Kind of like basically the only reality that's real
is me.
Is
my universe, and narrower than that is me and what I want, are my desires. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's there are some interesting character studies.
Yeah.
In the movie, we watched the movie twice. There are still some things I didn't quite catch, but the first time through, I was utterly bewildered. Now you twigged very early on.
Yeah.
To the fact that when you're in an alternate universe, the background color is bluish.
Yeah, there's a bluish hue, whereas when you're in the current universe,
it's kind of beige
it's
brown,
warm. It's very warm and golden.
Or something. Yeah.
And another thing they did to visually...
But if you don't know that,
right,
as I didn't, it can be very confusing as to when you're in another universe and when you're in ours. But once you know that, it helps a lot.
Josh? Josh?
You follow the movie and you follow their schemes as they progress from, at first, just trying to find out about the other universes, to the thing that really confused me is they have amassed this huge fortune in our universe. And you think, well, where's this money coming from? Well, it turns out that they're stealing from their other selves in the alternate universes. So, like, Josh will go into an alternate universe and sneak into his own bedroom when the alternate Josh is asleep and steal stuff from his wallet.
Yeah.
And take the money back into our universe. So they become, like, millionaires, but you have to wonder about these all... Oh, the other thing we should mention is they realize early on that every time you step through the mirror, it's a different alternate universe.
Right.
So they're not always going to one other alternate, because if they did that, their other selves would be bankrupt instantly.
And their few seconds... Like, if two people go through one after a time, they're in totally different universes.
Right.
But if they hold hands when they go through, they're in the same universe. Oh. And they also discover, and this is key to the end, is that the mirror's bolted in place.
Yeah.
And they discover that depending on what angle it is, the mirror's either on or off. If it's fully upright, it's off. So they figure out, well, if it moves at all, it doesn't work. So that's why the mirror is bolted, and that sort of
they sort of figure that it must only work in this place.
Yeah.
Too. You can't move it to another room or something.
Yeah.
So.
But that gets called into question in the very, very end, which we won't Won't spoil. But there's a thing that happens at the end that you're like, well, huh? Anyway.
Well, and even before the end, you're wondering. The question is the mirror only in our universe, and you can step through the other universes? Well, no, we know it isn't, because they're stepping through other mirrors and other universes. Right. So the question becomes, what happens if one of the alternate universes discovers their mirror?
Right.
So it's an intriguing premise for a science fiction movie. It raises a lot of interesting questions. Doesn't answer all of them, which is kind of okay with me, because you don't, with a premise as wild and open-ended as this, you don't really want everything tied up in a neat package.
And there may not be concrete answers.
And there may not be answers.
Because a lot of them are like ethical questions, which, it depends on your perspective what the answer may be.
Right. Yeah, so, what do you think?
I would say middle. I mean, it's not a must-see movie, but it's not a bomb either. I mean, I think there is an audience for this film.
Absolutely.
We were probably not the target market.
Yes, that's a where this is dating us both. But when I was young and went to see Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi in the theater, that's how old we are. We took my mother to one of them, and she said later, I didn't like that. Everything was too fast moving for me. I didn't understand what was happening. Well, when you're young, you're like, boy, are you out of it.
Yeah.
But now that we're the age we are, and I'm watching this, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I kind of get that. This was a very fast-moving film, and I feel like there was a lot going on that I wasn't quick enough to pick up on, or maybe because I'm not a millennial, there's a lot of assumptions that they have that we don't have.
I totally think
I mean,
that
there's
played part of it.
scenes in the movie where people are on Tinder, and I mean, I've never been on Tinder, so that alone is confusing because it's like, well, what are they doing?
Yeah.
So there's some of that. I think you're right. It's a very interesting, intriguing movie. Just because we're not turning handsprings about it does not mean it's not a good movie.
No,
I suspect a younger audience would get a lot more out of it than we did.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell it was well written. It was well filmed.
Oh, very well written.
The
very
special
well
effects
filmed.
are really good.
Yes. So yeah, it's a good picture across the board. We hope that it finds an audience.
Yeah.
I think it was shown mostly at various film festivals.
Yes, so far.
Before this, and I think it did win at least one award.
Yeah. So.
But you know, with the situation the way it is now, it may not come out in theaters. So we hope you're able to find it somewhere. So check your Netflix or your Prime listing for the movie Parallel, and be sure to put in Parallel 2018 because there are kind of ironically there are multiple movies named Parallel out there. So be sure you're getting this one.
And I believe the press release says it's going to be released in limited theaters and streaming. So what that means,
we'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
Yeah. So what does that make it? 2 planets?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
2 planets.
2 planets. Well, that's it for this time.
Ciao. Is it recording? Yeah.
Carma, what did you think of the film? Or do you want to summarize it?
You know, I think there were a lot of good things about it, but it was also quite confusing.
Yes. Yes, it was. I guess we should begin with
a
basic premise. Do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
I don't either.
That's all, folks.